Welcome back to Champion News Talk Radio, brought to you by championnews.net. This is Carol Parisi, our founder, and myself have Representative Tom Morrison with us. And Jack, before the break, you were talking about the wonder and the excellence of St. Elizabeth's School, private school.
It's an example of tremendous. Imagine that, $4,500 total cost compared to $16,000 for the city of Chicago.
Now, could you imagine if school choice and vouchers would be, that would so help those parents, because I'm sure that $4,500 tuition is
$2,900.
It's $2,900 to the parents, and then who subsidizes the rest?
Well, people like me,
the Archdiocese does.
Various people.
Contributors, yeah.
The Archdiocese puts a little money in, but not much.
Okay.
But now, if we were to have school vouchers, Tom, let me ask you a question. Would that whole $4,500 be paid by the taxpayers?
Well, here's how it would work. And the Chicago Tribune, a little over a week ago, had an editorial in favor of vouchers and school choice, because we had an interesting case in Indiana. The Indiana Supreme Court said that, yes, the school voucher program in Indiana is a legitimate program. Something like 60% of Indiana families qualify for it, and they can take that money, which they've already paid, by the way. This is money that the taxpayers have already paid, but they then can choose to direct some of it toward the school of their choice. And it could be a private school, it could be a parochial school. And I just think that Illinois is long overdue for doing this. I think it would be
really good for the children. It would be really empowering for the children. Right, that's what school's about.
That's what school's about. That's what education is about.
The unions don't like competition.
No, they don't want to see the competition, but it would raise the bar for all schools.
But the unions would have to agree that if the child's education is the most important thing.
They use that as an excuse for their trepidations. There is no doubt that the K-12 system is run by the IEA, the Illinois Miseducation Association. Those rascals have plundered the teachers. They take damn near $1,000 apiece out of the teachers for dues, and they poured it into political activity. And so they are the ones that are running. It isn't your school board, because they all have been elected by, most of them have been elected by the unions, who've got this vast amount of money. And they are running the whole blasted thing down in Springfield and in the classrooms, and the thousands of people that are down on Pershing Road in the headquarters for just Chicago. This is the biggest lurch, stumble, and fall operation there is anywhere, is the education system in Illinois, and it's because of the stinking unions that are actually running it. Nobody can match the unions and the money that they have.
First and foremost, we've got to realize that the union is there for no other purpose than power.
The union's there to protect the teachers.
No, the unions aren't there to protect the teachers. Look what they've done with the pensions. The teachers that are now coming into the system, there's not going to be a pension system when they're ready to retire. The young teachers are fighting for reform because they know there's not going to be anything left. The teachers that are about to retire, they want to keep the status quo. But first and foremost, the unions are not about education. They've never been about education. The unions are all about power, which is why if you look at the structure of the unions and the schools, the administrative top is top heavy. These people aren't teaching anybody, and they're making all the money.
Picking up on that, why do you have to have thousands of administrators all over the place, up and down the line in the public schools? Every classroom has got a teacher with an advanced degree, and in the old days they ran it without any administrators fooling around with them. You got all of the smarts you need in the college. You don't need the thousands and thousands of people that the union has put in so they can get more stinking union dues.
Well, part of the reason we're so administratively top-heavy is the federal involvement in education and state involvement in education.
Yeah.
So there's all kinds of federal and state mandates that the school districts have to follow, and you know, if we just had fewer involvement of the state or the federal government in the local schools, you wouldn't have to have so many administrators. You could
the unions are in the schools are particularly vicious. The union that runs the post office, and not that they're so fantastically efficient, but they're, of course, far outdistanced by United Parcel. But their unions are not as bad as the ones for the teachers. The teachers, unfortunately, have the most rapacious bunch of madmen that are running it, that see the schools as their opportunity to socialize the children. That is what the NEA, National Education Association, Forbes back in 1993, in their magazine, they called it the National Extortion Association. They deliberately are conditioning our children to accept government rule and respond to the way that the smart alecks like Obama, the arrogant people in the socialist system that think they know better than the wisdom of all of us put together. And I don't think they do, but they do. Obama is a real good example of a very arrogant guy that thinks he knows a lot more than any of us. And that's what the unions are running. They get the help of all of the operators in the barrios like Obama did. That's the only job he ever held. He isn't like you. You ran a disaster organization. You had to please customers.
Disaster cleanup, that is.
Yeah, you had to clean it up. Yeah. So get your disaster wagon downstate.
Well, anyway, there is a bill. Michael was saying, Tom, if we don't have pension reform now, are these teachers going to even get their pensions?
Well, I introduced a bill this past spring called House Bill 3303. And what it would do is it would freeze pension credit accumulation.
What does that mean? I don't understand.
So the longer an employee works in a position, the more pension credits they earn.
Hold on, Michael, what are you doing?
You weren't supposed to stop. Just keep going.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
So, for example, when someone reaches, let's say they get out of the teaching business after 10 years or 15 years, and they go and they do something else, they've still paid into the teacher's retirement system for 10 or 15 years.
Right.
When they reach retirement age, then they can collect on the pension that they've earned in the first 10 to 15 years. And it's not, so it would be, and don't quote me on this, but let's say 30% of their final salary. Whereas if they had stayed in teaching for 30 years or 30 plus years, it would be 75% of their, the average of the last 4, whatever. The point is, what my bill would do is it would freeze the credits that have been earned up to this point. So someone who's been teaching for 30 years is going to have a pension based upon those 30 years. If someone's only been teaching for 5 years, the defined benefit portion of their pension will be based upon the first 5 years. After the effective date, everyone, whether it's someone who's been only teaching for 5 years or someone teaching for 20 years or 25 years or 30 years, whatever future service they have, they are going to be contributing to a defined contribution plan. And their employer is going to make a matching contribution.
Their employer, the taxpayer, you mean? The
taxpayer. But, for clarity's sake, it would be District 15 or District 225 or District 211 or whatever.
The trouble with the whole thing is that the inflation sets in, and it makes our savings dollars, all of us citizens that have a bank account are being plundered. I started my business in 1961, which is $5,000. I checked back to see how much my $5,000 was worth compared to now. And the inflation over those 50 years is over 700%, 710%.